Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our journey around the state of Virginia. And in this particular video, we went to Lynchburg at the Lynchburg Blue RIdge Parkway KOA. And before we get into the video, I just want to let you know that you can tell by my shirt and my hat, SnapPad now has a merchandise store. And this hat, I really love this hat. It's very comfortable. And you can go to their website and just find the link to the merchandise store, and they have t-shirts and hats. And like I said, this hat is great. And we're not affiliated with them for this or anything. I just, I really like the product, and I love the people at SnapPad. They're great folks. So if you are interested in a cool new hat or a nice camping t-shirt, go over to SnapPad and check them out.
And if you're not familiar with what SnapPad is, it is a product that goes onto the landing gear, the leveling jacks of your RV, and we will include a link to a video that we did about them.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. And the other news, and you'll see him in this video, is we rescued a dog from the Humane Society. His name's Toby. He's an Australian Shepherd, and he was a working cattle dog, but he got in trouble for killing a goat. So we brought him home, and he's been a great dog, and he loves camping, and you'll see he'll make some appearances in this video, like I said. So without any further delay, let's get into the campground and the sites around the Lynchburg KOA.
So like Sean said, this was called the Lynchburg Blue RIdge Parkway KOA. It was actually only a mile from the Blue RIdge Parkway and about 15 miles, I think, from the town of Lynchburg. So it was really in this beautifully wooded setting.
Yeah, and the first thing we noticed right away pulling up to the campground was that it's gated. And at 9 o'clock, the gates come down, and it just gives you a little extra sense of security while you're there. And then right when you pull in, it's a nice setup because the common area, or the sort of the play areas, are separate from the camping areas.
Yeah, so it gives the kids plenty of room to play and have a great time, but leaves the campsites a little more quiet. I felt like there was so much going on. There was a covered area that had like ping pong and some other foosball, some other similar type games.
And a gas grill under there as well.
Yeah.
And then they had a playground, which was kind of like a wooden kind of playground. And then they had a little mining sluice.
Yeah.
And you can get the bags inside, and then you can mine them. And then they had one of those jump pads, which is pretty cool. We couldn't jump on it because we're old, and
it said no bad bags.
Yeah.
So I walked away. And then also up front there was the big KOA camp store, which pretty much every KOA we've been at has had one, and this one looked to be pretty well stocked. There was also a pool, which wasn't open yet. It's going to open on Memorial Day, and it'll be open for the season.
And then also separated kind of from the rest of the camping area was the Camp Canine, or the dog park, and it was a big dog park.
Yeah, it was a really big one, and Toby liked kind of sniffing around and testing out the boundaries of it and stuff. We didn't see any other dogs there while we were there.
No, but it's definitely big enough for more than one dog.
Yeah. So
then let's get into the sites. Lots of trees around the sites, and long pull-throughs for you to, if you have a big rig, you can definitely fit in here, no problem.
Yeah, I definitely liked being able to have kind of the truck away from the RV a little bit, instead of some spots are so tight you kind of got to go catty corner in front of them. So the truck is not in your picnic table, fire pit area. And the other thing that I liked is there was no awning to awning here.
Right.
There was plenty of space between you and your neighbor. So you really felt like you had room to spread out.
And then there was a few back ends, and they backed up to the woods. So you didn't have anybody right behind you either, which was really nice for those that backed in. And we were there over the weekend, and every site was taken, I think.
Yeah, every site was taken on the weekend, but you still never really felt crowded.
No.
It was still very quiet. And then of course, just like any other campground, when you're walking around, everyone is so friendly.
Yeah, and then they also had more than one bathhouse. So there was one close by where we were, and then there was one up by the camp store. So lots of options there if you are staying in a cabin or don't like using your bathroom in your RV.
Yeah, and speaking of the cabins, there were a few different types of cabins. It was a kind of deluxe style that looked kind of like a park model, or a little miniature single wide trailer that had bathrooms and kitchens and big decks with swings. Yeah. And then they had your primitive, typical KOA cabins. They were really cute though, with little window boxes. They also had the fire pit and the picnic table, but those don't have bathrooms or kitchens inside, but they're right across from the bathhouse.
Yeah. And one other thing, just in general about the living areas, the staff was always out and about, so it was very clean, and we were pretty pleased with how clean the park was, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then another area off to the side is the stocked fishing pond, and it was a big pond.
Yeah, it really was a big one. Now, we didn't get video on Saturday, but there were actually a lot of people out there on Saturday. When we went on Sunday, there was only one person fishing in it, but it's really pretty. And you can walk all the way around it. And then at one end of it, there is a handful of tent sites. So they had a really nice view, and they also had water and power, picnic table, and fire ring.
Yeah, and then lastly, around the campground, there was a bunch of hiking trails.
Yeah. They were really nice because they went all back into the woods around there. I don't know how large that piece of land is that KOA has, but it was quite large. And then they would kind of like interconnect those hiking trails. So it was really neat to have your own little nature trail right there in the campground.
And then Julie took a morning trip on the Blue RIdge Parkway to do some hiking.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it was only less than a mile from the campground. So that was probably my favorite part. I love hiking. And but even if you don't like hiking, there's lots of scenic pull-offs. It's just a gorgeous scenic drive. And it actually is managed by the National Park Service. So it actually gets quite a bit of traffic, but there wasn't, at least where I was, an entry station where you had to show your National Parks Pass. And then the hiking, there were so many trails to choose from, but I chose one with a waterfall because I love the waterfalls. And when I was down there, I actually saw another Australian shepherd.
And then that afternoon, we went into Lynchburg, and they have a nice river trail or river walk that had, it's called, the part we went on went out to Percival's Island, and it's beautiful, but it's well used. There's lots of cyclists, runners, walkers. We even saw a guy on some stilts that was walking on the thing.
And it was, the island is really just like this little sliver that goes through the river there. I think it was like the James River or St. James River, something like that. And it's just a little, so you had like water views a lot of the way as well.
Yeah, and then the downtown part along the river of Lynchburg, it looks like they've done a lot of work in sort of restoring that. There used to be a lot of old, what looked like factories and warehouses down there, but they've turned them into condos with restaurants and shops underneath. So we walked along there, and they have a nice big park. So Toby really enjoyed that walk.
Yeah, everything was very pet friendly.
Yeah, even at the restaurants, people had their pets sitting at the tables with them. So a very nice downtown area, and I think we'll do some more exploring there when we go back.
And then the last day before we left, we did a little history tour that was also managed by the National Park Service, and it was called
Appomattox Courthouse. And if you don't know about Appomattox Courthouse, it was where Lee surrendered from the Civil War. And the town is called Appomattox Courthouse. If you want to call it a town, it's really just a small little thing. And he didn't actually surrender at the courthouse. So you have to go there to find out where he surrendered.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. Lots of good history there about the people that lived in the in Appomattox Courthouse, as well as the end of the Civil War.
And so I definitely want to go back. I'm gonna say now that this has claimed my spot as my favorite KOA in Virginia so far. We still have some more that we're gonna be going to this summer and fall, but I really liked it.
Yeah, and the great thing about it was everything we did was dog friendly. And now that we have Toby with us, we want to get him included in as much of our camping events as we can. So we hope you enjoyed this video and this review of the Lynchburg Blue RIdge Parkway KOA. And until we see you on the road, safe travels.